You might be a die-hard JDM lover, rocking a turbo Civic, or dreaming of a wide-body Supra. But even you got to admit, there's something raw, loud, and undeniably badass about American muscle. We're talking about rear-wheel drive monsters with enough torque to yank a house off its foundation. These aren't just cars, they're cultural icons. And whether you're in it for the sound, the speed, or just the street cred, muscle cars deliver on all fronts. So today, we're diving into the 5 greatest muscle cars of all time. Some of these changed the game forever. Some made people switch sides from imports to Detroit steel. And trust me, even if your heart pumps 91-octane JDM juice, these machines will make it skip a beat. Let's go. All right, kicking off the list is the undisputed heavyweight of the golden era, the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS454. This wasn't just a muscle car, it was a monster. Under the hood, it packed the legendary LS6 454 cubic inch 7.4L V8, throwing down 450 horsepower and 500 pound-foot of torque straight from the factory. That's not just big numbers for the 70s, that's big numbers, period. Even today, that torque rating is still enough to break traction in third gear with bias-ply tires. The Chevelle had that classic long hood, short deck profile, with cowl induction that looked like it was inhaling small animals. Add to that the beefy stance, dual stripes, and chrome bumpers, and you've got a car that screams, "Don't mess with me," in American. From a JDM perspective, think of it like the Godzilla of muscle cars. It wasn't nimble, it didn't carve corners, but it had insane straight-line power. Kind of like an R35 GTR if it was built by cowboys and ran on bourbon. Should you cop one today? If you have deep pockets, maybe. Clean LS6 models are collector gold and can run well over 6 figures. But hey, clones and resto mods are out there if you just want the experience without the retirement fund price tag. You can't talk muscle without bringing up the 1969 Dodge Charger RT, a car so iconic, it became a full-blown character in movies like The Fast and the Furious, Dukes of Hazzard, and Bullet. Underneath that fastback silhouette and iconic hidden headlight grille sat a range of V8s, but the one everyone remembers is the 440 Magnum, pumping out 375 horsepower and 480 pound-foot of torque. And if you went all in, you could option it with the 426 Hemi, a racing-bred elephant motor with 425 horsepower and serious track credentials. But the Charger wasn't just about what was under the hood. It was about presence. It looked mean standing still, like it was doing push-ups just waiting for a green light. And in motion? Forget about it. It was raw, loud, and borderline dangerous, especially with drum brakes and no traction control. To the JDM crowd, the Charger is like an S15 Silvia that hit the gym, ditched drifting, and said, "I only go straight, fast." It's not for everyone. It's heavy, it's sloppy in the corners, but if you want movie star muscle car vibes, this is your pick. At number 3, we've got one of the rarest, most brutal muscle cars ever to touch pavement, the 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. This was Chrysler's mic drop moment, an aggressive, angry coupe armed with the 426 Hemi V8, good for 425 horsepower and 490 pound-foot of torque. But don't let those numbers fool you. Many claim the factory underrated them to avoid insurance spikes. Real-world figures? Likely north of 470 horsepower. It had a shaker hood scoop that rattled at idle, fish gill fender vents, and a stance that made it look like it was about to eat traffic. Only a handful of true Hemi Cudas were built, making them ultra-rare and ultra-valuable today. If JDM fans love sleeper legends like the Toyota Chaser or Mazda RX-7 Spirit R, think of the Cuda as the forbidden muscle. It was raw, loud, rare, and brutally fast, just not designed for the corners. This was a street-legal drag car with license plates, and it made no apologies. Would you cop one today? Only if you're rich. These things can go for over $1 million at auction. But if you're just here for the vibe, modern Mopars like the Challenger Hellcat are its spiritual successor. In second place, we've got a car that turned the Mustang from a pony into a predator. The 1967 Shelby GT500. This wasn't just a trim package with stripes and a badge. The GT500 was tuned by Carroll Shelby himself. It came with a 428 cubic inch Police Interceptor V8, putting out a factory-rated 355 horsepower and 420 pound-foot of torque, though most tests showed it was easily over 400 horses. This car was the Mustang's answer to the muscle car wars. Bigger brakes, tuned suspension, functional scoops. It was a real performance machine, not just a straight-line bruiser. And of course, it had that fastback silhouette that made Eleanor a Hollywood legend. For JDM heads, this is the equivalent of a built Evo 9 MR or a V-Spec R34 Skyline, refined, tuned, and race-inspired. It was the Mustang, but with actual racing pedigree. Copping one today? Be prepared to pay. Real GT500s are collector grade. But if you want the vibe, Ford's current GT500 or even a Mustang GT with mods gets you 90% of the experience. And here it is, the king. Number 1, the 1969 Camaro Z28. Why this over the big block monsters? Because the Z28 was the perfect balance of muscle and handling. It was a 302 cubic inch V8, small block, making 290 horsepower, but revving to 7,000 RPM and paired with a close ratio 4-speed manual. It was built for Trans Am racing, not just drag strips. The Z28 was lightweight, nimble, aggressive, and had that classic Camaro styling that's still copied today. Cowl hood, rally stripes, spoiler. It looked fast and was fast, especially on a twisty road. JDM crowd, listen up. This was the S2000 of muscle cars. High revving, manual only, built for balance and agility, not just horsepower. And unlike many of its peers, it could actually corner. Finding a real Z28 today is hard and pricey. But the DNA lives on in cars like the modern Camaro SS1LE or even the track-focused ZL1. If you want a vintage muscle car that still feels connected to the road, this is your champ. So there you have it, the 5 greatest muscle cars of all time. From legendary Hemis to high-revving Camaros and torque monster Chevelles, these cars are more than just American icons. They're a reminder of when power came first, and everything else came second. What's your pick for the ultimate muscle car? Drop it in the comments and let's start a horsepower war. And if you're a JDM fan who secretly loves muscle, hit that like button harder than a cold start on a carbureted V8. Don't forget to subscribe for more content that bridges the best of both worlds, from turbocharged imports to tire-shredding V8s. Catch you in the next one. Stay low, rev high, and respect all builds.